Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of Lionsgate Podcast with Sahdi and Omni. I'm Omni.
And I'm Sahdi.
And today's episode is all about the 12 universal laws.
So just imagine reality as a cosmic web where every thread is woven with divine intelligence. And the 12 universal laws are the unseen forces that shape the web. It influences everything from our thoughts to our destiny. And tonight, we're going to be diving beyond the surface and beyond just manifestation tricks or spiritual things like that. We're stepping into the divine blueprint that governs all existence.
Yes. And what I love about this is, as much research as I've done on spiritual practices, this is something that's brand new to me. I've heard some of these universal laws in passing and just assumed it was all scientific. And so when you asked me if I knew what they were, I'm like, not really. And then you started naming a few and I was like, I recognize that one. I've never heard of that one, but once you start getting into it, it makes sense how it flows into your life and each universal law works within your day. It's just really cool. I actually started my research with where did this come from? Because like I said, I thought it was just scientific. So the 12 universal laws are rooted in the mix of ancient spiritual traditions, metaphysical teachings, and modern interpretations of how energy and consciousness interact with the universe. Their origins are not from a single source, but are influenced by various philosophies, including the Hermetic philosophy, which Sadi's going to go into that a little bit later. The Kabbalion, which was a book published in 1908 called The Three Initiates.
Yeah, funny story with that. Nobody knows who the authors were.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was just written by three men, and they called themselves the Initiates.
Oh, that's cool. It's kind of like the Bible. A bunch of different people wrote the Bible.
Right.
Hinduism and Buddhism is another one. Concepts like karma or law of cause and effect, which is one of the laws. Dharma, the idea of vibrational energy, which is deeply rooted in Eastern and spiritual traditions. What I love about this is very omniistic, not an ode to my name. It's an ode to my belief. An omniist believes that there's truth in all. And these laws are based on a lot of different religions and beliefs and science. There's some new thought movements. The law of attraction, it's popularized in books like The Secret, quantum physics, and metaphysics. It's also based on science as well. Modern interpretations like these laws to quantum mechanics, energy fields, and the idea that consciousness influences matter, which we talked about in our episode about dimensions.
Yeah, when we're talking today, we're going to be talking a mixture of all of that.
Yes.
It's not just we're going to go down the list of the 12 universal laws. We're going to give you guys metaphors. We're going to talk about the Hermetic views on it and how these laws operate, whether we're aware of them or not. The key to spiritual mastery is learning how to align with them instead of resisting them.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I can start off with law number 1, and it is the law of divine oneness. It's the cosmic thread that binds all things. Basically, imagine an ocean. Every drop of water is separate, but a part of the whole. And each one of us is a drop connected to the source of existence. And we did talk about that same metaphor when it came to our higher selves.
Yeah, in our episode about spirit guides.
This law reminds us that we are not isolated being. Every thought, word, action, and even when we're silent, that silent energy sends ripples through the collective consciousness. And the higher truth perspective of that is separation is an illusion. So every time we judge or we hurt somebody or we even just dismiss another person and only see it from our perspective, we're doing that to ourselves because we're all connected.
Yep.
So when I hurt you, I'm ultimately hurting myself in the process. When we come from a higher level of understanding that, we get it.
Yeah.
But when we're in our ego, we're just like, fuck that. I'm going to beat this person's ass or hurt this person.
Like they hurt me, so I'm going to hurt them.
And it expands out to our friendships and our communities and not caring. For instance, the homeless people in Portland, it's a big problem right now. And a lot of people dismiss these homeless people and they're like, well, that's not my problem. Those aren't people that I love or care about.
Yep.
And they just downgrade them. And that is hurting our community as a society. And eventually that mindset branches out in those ripples into our country and into our entire world. It's an illusion of separation. I am no different than you or from somebody that lives across the world.
Yeah.
In a third world country. So in the Hermetic view of it, they call it the principle of mentalism.
Okay.
Right. So everything begins in the divine mind. We are reflections of that mind. So if the entire universe is an interconnected field of energy, what kind of ripples are you putting out? And like really think about that as an individual, because the energy that you put out matters.
My mom used to tell me, you are a rock thrown into a pond. Are you going to create good ripples or bad ripples?
In the Bible, it talks about do unto others as you have them do unto you.
Yeah.
Because we're all one, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Motherfuckers.
What I do to you reflects an energy signal out to the universe.
I've been trying to practice that in my life over the last 6 months in my healing journey. Is when somebody does me wrong, instead of getting super upset and getting in my feelings, if I'm really upset, I'll give myself a day and then get over it. Because honestly, when you reflect on it from a higher point of view, that says way more about them as a person than it does you. And it shouldn't affect you. And then that person who's doing the pain and the hurt should work on themselves. When people are hurt people hurt people.
Well, then we're talking about ancestral trauma and passed down things like that. The way we have been conditioned to believe by society and our generation, whatever generation that you're in, that's correct.
Right.
That's a correct way to give energy.
Like eye for an eye.
I spanked my kids. They're fine.
Yeah.
You know, or
You
I
survived,
did
I?
this. Right.
I survived because I
Or,
had
you know,
to.
it's a passed down hereditary way of being. And that's where religions are tied into that, certain parenting techniques. And if you want to look globally, it's interconnected with the way that people run their government.
Yeah.
All is mental. That's the first law.
I have an example of it because, of course, I'm like, well, how does this fit into everyday life? For this one, I have, let's say you're having a bad day and you snap at a stranger and later you see that person frowning and being short with someone else. Your energy rippled outward, affecting others. Alternatively, if you were to show kindness, that positivity can spread as well. So just reiterating, be that positive ripple.
Exactly. And you never know what you're doing to somebody that could push them over the edge positively or negatively. And that's like a butterfly effect. What if you screamed at somebody, yelled at somebody, went off on somebody because you were having an attitude like you were just talking about? And instead of them yelling at somebody else, they went home and decided they didn't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
Or what if you would have taken that same situation and maybe this person was supposed to evolve and send out good ripples into this world for the next 40 years and they decided, hey, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
If you would have treated them differently, it could give them a completely different perspective, can send them off into a different direction. And we're all important on this earth. We're here for a reason.
Yeah.
I think it's a reality check for a lot of people. I know it is for me. The way that I present my energy matters.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just matter for what I can see.
Right.
It's a part of the universal law. And if I want to change the world, I have to change myself first.
Oh, I love that. Yep.
I want to be the change I have to change.
Yeah.
I have to love more. I have to fight my demons. I have to fight my ego.
I have to heal myself.
I have to heal myself. I have to love myself.
Yes.
Because if I don't love myself, I can't love you.
Yeah. Loving yourself is an action. It doesn't always feel good to love yourself. Working out, I don't like working out, but guess what? That's a form of loving myself and taking care of myself. And at the end of the day, when you're done putting the work in, it feels good. Do the action.
And like you were saying earlier, hurt people hurt people. And that's true. On a fundamental level, if you weren't hurt, you wouldn't be hurting other people.
Exactly.
A lot of it does have to do with healing and the way that you think about yourself and the way that you see the universe.
Yes.
And the way that you see all the connections here on earth. That we're all one big web of conscious energy. Law number 2 is the law of vibration. It's the symphony of energy. That's the way that I like to look at it. So think of yourself as a tuning fork. And whatever frequency you put out, the universe responds by vibrating in harmony or discord with you.
Oh.
Our emotions and our thoughts and the way that we believe aren't just personal. They broadcast signals into the entire universe. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So if you want love, but vibrate at the frequency of abandonment, you'll experience relationships that confirm that vibration. When we see it from a hermetic view, it's the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves. And learning to control your vibration is learning to control reality.
Yes.
Because you do control your own reality.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, this shit's just happening to me. And they don't realize they're not tapped into this universal law. And that's why it isn't happening for them. Their reality isn't morphing into what they want.
Because all they can think about is what's going wrong. So you're manifesting what's going wrong.
Exactly. And it's a frequency.
Yeah.
So if you're tuned into a country station, you're not going to get hip hop. You can't. You're not tuned into that frequency.
Right.
People are like, oh, damn, this country song's playing on repeat in my life. You know, my dog died and I lost my house and I got diabetes. Or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And then you're thinking it's all coming from external. But I don't want to say you're getting what you deserve, because some people are just going through things that are outside of their control, because we are a combined consciousness as well. It's not just about us. Other things can happen to us. Right. But this law is really more tuning into yourself and what you're putting out.
Right. So you can get rid of those obstacles at least. So if things are happening to you and you're tuned in, you know it's not coming from you.
We've done this about raising our vibration and stuff like that. We can be at a very low vibration, and these things can start to manifest as physical ailments in our body.
Yes.
And the way to get out of that is to vibrate higher. And that's what we're talking about. We're eating more high vibrational foods. We're thinking differently. Even if it's hard, even if it is terrifying, you have to tune that station to a different frequency or you're going to remain stuck.
Yep.
And the longer you stay in it, the harder it is to get out of that energy. So that's what the second universal law is all about. And we even did an episode all about frequency. So if you're interested in that, you can go back and listen to that episode.
Exactly. It all ties together. I would say when you're feeling joyful and confident, you naturally attract positive people and opportunities. When you're in a low mood, you may notice more negative things around you. Think about the kid in high school or grade school or whatever. Maybe you were that kid that is just naturally confident. Everyone thinks he's great or she, because they're confident and they're living in their authenticity. They're staying in that higher vibration, and people are attracted to them because of that. It's the kid that got teased and would laugh it off sincerely. Nothing could touch them. That's, I think, what this law is talking about. Stay in that higher vibration. Why do you care what other people say about your buck teeth? You love yourself.
If you're vibrating high enough, none of those lower vibrational things will affect you.
Yes.
It's like you have this atmosphere around you. And if your atmosphere is low, every single thing from space will hit you and hurt you.
Space trash.
Yes, like the moon, right? Everything hits the moon. That's why all the craters are on there. And it doesn't have an atmosphere, but Earth does.
Yeah.
And so a lot of things burn up before they even get to our atmosphere. So if you want to take it a step farther, you can think of it as that. If you're high vibrational and you have a lot of spiritual protection around you, and you've invited in your ancestors and your spirit guides, and you have a really close connection with the high vibrational beings, they become a part of your atmosphere. There might be things that people are throwing at you, not ever in your life realize. Maybe sometime later in life, somebody will be like, oh yeah, I was really jealous of you and I threw a lot of hate at you. Or maybe you'll find out somehow, but it didn't affect you.
Right.
Because you were protected, because you were vibrating at such a high frequency that couldn't even touch you. It was up too high. So yeah, that's what we're talking about when we talk about that law of frequency. Third law is the law of correspondence. And I think of this as the mirror of reality. So life is like a hall of mirrors. And whatever we hold inside of ourselves, our belief system, the pain that we hold inside of ourselves, these old wounds, fear, all of that reflects back to us in our lives.
Yeah.
The outer world is never random. It's a perfect reflection of our internal world. So if you feel unseen in your relationship, right? You can ask yourself, where am I failing to see myself?
Ooh.
It's like a reflection. It's like every relationship and everything that you're doing, you let it mirror back to you. And then ask yourself that question. Oh, this person isn't giving me enough attention. Well, where am I not giving myself enough attention?
Yeah.
This job doesn't value me. Where do I not value myself?
Because if your job's making you work 8 days a fucking week.
Yeah, where am I ignoring my own needs?
Yeah.
When we talk about the hermetic side of that, they call it the same principle, the principle of correspondence. It's like as above, so below. As within, so without. So instead of blaming external situations, you have to start asking yourself, what is life teaching me about my internal vibration and state of mind?
I think that's especially important in relationships. When we do the Witchy Wednesday, we get a lot of people flooding our comments with relationship questions. These are all things that it's okay to ask the question, but the real answer you already know. And they're things that you can reflect on the inside.
Where am I insecure about myself to allow this to affect me in this way? And it's even from the smallest things. I can tell where my emotional state is by the cleanliness of my house sometimes.
Yeah, same.
If I'm feeling really good, I'm high vibrational, and I ate some healthy juice this morning and took my vitamins, and like, I'm vibing high, my house is going to be clean because I want to get up and I want to clean, and I can multitask. I can listen and like gain knowledge as I'm cleaning the house, or like dancing and exercising and all of that stuff. But when I'm not vibing high, I don't want to do my laundry. My room is a mess. And so your external world and just little things like that can mirror your internal vibration.
Yeah.
So take a look around. That's how you can gauge where your vibration's at. Look around at your home. Is it cluttered? Is it messy? And then let that mirror back to you.
Yeah. And cleaning your space is a spiritual practice in itself. And that is one of the ways
it can help raise your vibration.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's just that reflection.
Yeah.
It's a house of mirrors. And sometimes in the house of mirrors, they can be very distorted.
If your personal life is chaotic and disorganized, your external world, like your home, your work, your relationships, may be in disarray, and inner peace often leads to the external stability. Exactly what you were saying.
Or your house might be spotless, but your relationship is a mess, or your diet's a mess, or you know what I mean? It can amplify in different parts of your life, but it's always mirroring back at you.
Yeah.
And then you can look at that not just as negative, but you can be like, man, I'm in a really, really healthy relationship. You can give gratitude to yourself. Like, I have mirrored this back to myself because I'm worthy and I love myself.
Yeah.
And you can do it with your job and your relationship with your family, your friends, your kids, your community, whatever it is. It can be anything. Life mirrors back at you.
Yeah.
I don't know why it reminds me of this, but there was a war going on. And there was an image of this elderly lady that walked up to one of the guards. And I mean, they had been killing people. They'd been gassing and bombing. And it was just chaos and abuse. And just so sad to watch this go on. And this elderly lady walked up to one of the guards, and he was stone-faced. Like they're just standing in a line ready to just probably push the old lady down or whatever the case. And she holds a mirror in front of his face, and he starts to cry.
Oh, I got chills.
Think of that. That's what I think of when I hear this law. So really take a good hard look at yourself and your environment and let that mirror the truth back to you. Frequency doesn't lie. And then number 4 is the law of attraction.
Yeah, it's my
we
favorite
all
one.
Love this one.
I knew beforehand, but I didn't know it was a part of the 12 universal laws.
Right. And it's the alchemy of thought and feeling. So the universe is like an echo chamber. Whatever you send out with your thoughts and your beliefs and your energy, it amplifies it and returns it to you.
Yep.
The secret to manifestation isn't about thinking about what you want. It's becoming the version of yourself that already has it. And so the common mistake is some people try to manifest love while they're vibrating at desperation.
Yes.
Or they're trying to attract money, but they're vibrating at the frequency of lack.
Or survival.
Right. You can't fake frequency. So in the Hermetic view, it's the principle of polarity. So if you resist lack, you still focus on lack.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, oh, I want to have a lot of money, or I want a better job, but you're still focusing on how my job sucks and I don't like my, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're consciously thinking about lack. You're focusing on that. You're not going to get abundance.
The universe speaks in one language.
Right. So true attraction happens when you neutralize resistance, pretty much.
When you're constantly thinking about how broke you are and you keep struggling financially, when you shift your mindset to abundance and gratitude, you start noticing new opportunities for income. When you got that hunger in you and you're like, you know what, I need more streams of income and I'm ready for it. I'm ready to receive it. And then all of a sudden you notice, let's say that there's a new restaurant opening up and you're a server and you have 3 days that you could fill with that to make more income for, you know, whatever. It's an opportunity. It's a stepping stone.
Or you get some kind of inspiration in your mind to make something.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, I've seen this on the internet, but I'm really a lot better than that. What I can offer is better than what I've seen out there.
Yep.
And you get inspired to do it, and you start making a multiple stream of income, and it's something that you love doing, that you're great at, and all of a sudden it just flows to you. Like, say you want to live in a mansion. Every day, sit down and close your eyes and imagine every room of that mansion. Get a picture of one that you found online or in a magazine and put it up on every room in your house. And imagine what it's going to smell like in there and what it feels like walking up the stairs. And you open the bathroom door and there's your jacuzzi tub where you're going to put your flowers and what you're going to do in your garden. Like, whatever it is, you have to imagine that you already have it. You have to imagine that is your house and you already have it, and embrace that. Go sit outside. I mean, don't get in trouble or anything. Go sit outside of a mansion and imagine that that's your house, and imagine yourself walking through every room, and then take that home and do that every single day. Eventually you will live there.
Exactly.
And you can use that with anything in your life. Imagine the perfect relationship, or
do an entire episode on manifesting. If you guys want to check it out, we go into so many different things that you can do to manifest.
When you're trying to manifest something and you're doing all that, like you're imagining yourself there and that you already have it, and you're doing petitions and you're doing all these things to, basically it's just programming your brain to consciously think about it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like a map. If you put a destination on a map and you start walking, eventually you will get there. You know the direction you're going in, and you're thinking about that place.
Yeah. Think about the universe is an operator. And every time you think about it, you're calling it. Eventually, you call that fucker like 100 times. It's going to respond, fine, here.
Yeah, and then feel it in your body. Really tap into what shifts in my body and in my spirit when I think about this. And allow yourself to get excited. Because that's a big thing in manifestation, too, is allowing yourself to get excited. And we're taught, right?
Yeah.
We've been taught this since an early age. Don't get your hopes up too high because you might not get it. I hate that shit. Yeah. If you're saying that inside your head, you guys listening right now, get that out of your mind. Get excited about it. Because if it's not going to happen,
I'm getting chills.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. It wasn't meant for you divinely.
But you're still going to be let down if it doesn't happen, whether you got excited about it or not. And that excitement is what pushes you to receive what you want.
Exactly.
So get excited about it. So number 5 is the law of inspired action. And this is like the dance between will and the divine flow. We just did a tea time about divine flow.
Yeah.
So I was just talking about maps, and the universe is like a GPS. You have to enter a destination, and that's your intention. And then you also have to move the car in that direction, which is action. So manifestation isn't about passively waiting for miracles. It's about moving when the divine nudges you to go. The difference between forcing action versus inspired action is one comes from struggle and the other one comes from flow.
Yeah.
The manifestation leads into this one. You have to take action.
Yeah. You can't just sit there and be like, I want to live in a mansion and not try to get a mansion.
Right.
To sit in your living room every night. That's just wishing on a star.
Yeah. And then the Hermetic correspondence to that is the principle of rhythm. So everything moves in cycles. Timing is divine. Ask yourself, like, where is the universe pushing me to act right now? And I really love that too, because I've been learning more on how to do that from you, Omni.
Oh,
Because I'll have an idea. I'm very feminine and intuitive and all that, and I'll have these ideas. And then I'm like, oh, when I get back from California, or when I do this, and you're like, no, let's do it right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is that masculine energy that you have coming through. That's just like, why would we wait until after you get back from California? We can do it right now. And it's so powerful to hear that, because I'm a procrastinator and I'll have all these ideas, but I don't act on them. I'm really learning this principle, and it works. You can say all day long, you know, put it in the GPS, I want to go here. And then you just sit there. You don't get in your car and you don't go. It's
just
like
play on your phone.
You're never going to get there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it is when you get that connection or that inspiration to do something. Please don't wait.
Yeah.
The chances are you're probably not going to end up doing it.
Yeah. Your spark will be gone.
And then you can look around and be like, what am I doing right now?
Right.
Go study that, or go research that, or go do whatever it is that you're inspired to do. Do it right now.
If you're busy right now, put it in your calendar. Make time and space for it. Imagine you dream of becoming a painter. Instead of just wishing for it, just start taking art classes and painting every day, leading to new creative opportunities opportunities.
And you'll hear people say this too when they're debunking manifestation. They'll be like, well, I wished for it every day for 3 months and it didn't come true. And I'm like, you can't just sit there and wait for the miracle.
Yeah.
There's steps to it. It's one part of it. So number 6 is the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. It's like the alchemist key.
Yes.
That's how I look at it. That's the key for the alchemists out there. If you're a spiritual alchemist, energy doesn't disappear.
Yeah.
It transforms. And pain can become wisdom, fear can become courage, and so on. So you hold the power to transmute lower vibrations into higher ones. And we were just talking about that recently. If anybody's listened to that episode, we were talking about emotional alchemy. And if people are sending negative energy to you, once you learn how to manipulate energy, you can take all of it. Yeah. Like if somebody hates me, I can take that hate energy and it gives me more power.
Yeah.
But be careful with that because you have to learn how to do that. You just don't want to open yourself up to negative and positive energy until you're ready. Yeah. And that's why protection and things like that are important.
I did that. I opened myself up and I made a mistake for all of you to learn from. Well, for instance, if you enter a room where everyone is stressed, but you remain positive and encouraging, over time, your uplifting energy shifts the mood of the entire room. And I actually do that a lot. When I go into work and people are in a bad mood, I'm like, I'm vibing high. And I have a friend there that does that too. And we vibe high and I make jokes and whatever. And eventually everybody's in a better mood. As long as it's not something serious, obviously. But yeah, it's like, oh yeah, that first table that came in and stiffed me, it doesn't even matter now because I'm in a great mood.
And you be the change.
Exactly.
Because if you're working around a bunch of low vibrational people, especially for people out there that are listening that are empaths.
Yes.
This is very important for you. Being an empath is a gift. It can also be a curse.
I'm an empath.
When you're first learning that you're an empath, you're going to attract a lot of people who drain your energy. Yeah. And it's very easy because you connect with whatever energy is coming at you. Like if somebody's sad and they're going through a traumatic life event, you are also now going through that traumatic life event with them. Yeah, you pick up on their energies, but that's also part of the journey for empaths is to experience this until you get to a point where you're like, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to feel this way anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to be so connected to people. I want to love people and I want to be connected to people. I just don't want to be so connected to people that they're controlling how I feel.
Oh, guilty. Guilty. That's the journey I'm on right now.
So this is a part you guys tap into that emotional alchemist that's inside of you. You can get through that and you can be there with somebody on their journey without feeling because it's not your journey.
Yeah.
That's their experience that they're having. They need to have that for a reason. You don't need to be feeling it with them. When you're tired of it, you get to a point where you need to learn how to protect your energy, but also don't lose your compassion.
Yes.
Because what happens with some empaths is they're hurt so many times and they're taken through so many other people's life journeys and chaos and all of these other things. They just don't want to be around people anymore. So they seclude themselves so they don't have to feel that emotional pain anymore. And I'm telling you, if you're an empath and you're in that situation, you can learn how to transform that energy into your greatest gift and your biggest power. That is a super power to have so much empathy and to feel everything so deeply. And what ends up happening is they get on medication. I'm not saying that medication is bad for everybody, but sometimes you just need to go the spiritual side of it and really tap into the universal law and figure it out and dissect it. And then use it as your power instead of your weakness. An example, a breakup can be a catalyst for self-love. Or we can let it break us and have us go in and lock everybody else out.
Yeah.
But you can take that energy and you could be like, oh my God, this relationship taught me so much. And then all of a sudden you're so powerful and you love yourself so much. You had to pick up all these broken pieces and put them back together the way you wanted to put them together and self-love the shit out of yourself.
And then you attract.
And then you're more powerful.
But I think a lot of empaths are meant to be healers and to help people. And so you shutting yourself off from people, you stopping your life purpose.
Yeah. And a lot of people are hands-on healers that are empaths because you have to be empathetic to tune into the frequency of somebody's pain, of someone's maybe even past life pain.
Yeah.
or traumas that have happened. You have to actually be able to feel that within your energetic system when you tap into there. And so that's a gift. But you have to train yourself to also have a protection and to guard yourself from completely submerging yourself into that person's trauma.
What I see is it's the difference between watching a movie and being in the movie. Watching a war scene, you can see it and empathize and be like, oh, wow, that's horrible. And then being in the movie and being the one that's blown up in the war scene. At that point, you're like, yeah, I don't want to feel that pain that intensely. So just tune it down and step outside. It's not your journey.
Right. And then you're able to help people on their journey even more. Okay, so as empaths, and I'm an empath as well, so I've had to learn this. I'm not just speaking out of a book or something.
I'm not preaching.
It's a book of my own life where I would do that as well. I feel like all of that gave me knowledge to be able to help people better now than I was able to before, because before I was just resonating with them. I was like, oh, you're going through this problem. That sucks, blah, blah, blah. If you're mad, I'm mad. If you're crying, I'm crying with you. You want to eat ice cream? I want to eat ice cream. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're so into their energy that you can't help them. And it makes you even a better friend, a better confidant, a better parent, a better human if you disconnect and you learn to protect your energy, because then you're at a higher frequency than they are. So while they're going through all this low vibrational stuff, you can see it from a different perspective, and you can hold your hand down and you can say, hey, I see where you are and I resonate with that, but you need to get up here where I am. Let me show you how to do that. Let me help heal you in different ways. You can't be down in the trenches all the time with these people, because that's not helping them and it's not helping you. And you can put your own perspectives on what we talked about.
Yeah.
That's covering that law. Next, we're going into the law of cause and effect. It's the cosmic boomerang.
Okay.
Imagine the universe as a giant boomerang. And everything you send out into the world, all of your thoughts and your words and your actions return back to you in some form.
Karma.
Yeah. In the higher awareness, this law is often called karma, but it's more than just punishment or reward. It's a divine mechanism that ensures harmony. That's what it's there for.
Yeah.
Karma isn't really necessarily good or bad.
Yeah.
It just is. And it exists. There is a dimension. There is a dimension of karma. There's no randomness in the universe. Everything big or small is linked to an unseen chain of causes. Every struggle and every heartbreak and every challenge is an effect of past causes. So either from this lifetime or a past life or even ancestral imprints. So we can be living out karmic lessons from ancestral things that happen, whether trauma or trauma that our ancestors put on other people.
Yeah, like ancestral trauma.
Yeah. Nothing happens by chance. Everything has a source. So if everything happening in your life right now is the result of past energy, then what new causes are you ready to create?
Right.
So you can create karma and you can dispel as well.
Well, yeah, let's say you're consistently helping people without expecting anything in return. And later, when you need assistance, you'll receive an unexpected support from somewhere or someone.
Yeah.
My mom raised me on karma.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do that because I'm scared of karma. I also use karma in spells. I invoke
Karmic energy.
Yeah, you can also do that. But I absolutely believe what you put out, you get back.
Yeah. You can help karma along a little bit by putting some extra energy into it.
Yeah.
But also it comes from somewhere. So when you're pushing karma for someone else to learn their karma, that is going to come back on you.
But I would love to learn my karma lessons.
So you just have to think about that. Take that in consideration. It's okay to do that. But like we were talking about earlier, there's everything returns to you in some form.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting this person to get instant karma and you're like, fuck, it worked. They got their karma the next day after you did a spell or something. Well, you just pulled on your own karma to make that happen. And that was instant gratification. But karma knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
so even it's okay to do that. I'm not saying any, practitioners out there don't do it, but you need to expect that something is going to come back to you. Karma always has a plan. It teaches somebody a lesson and sometimes it drags it out for a long time. And you don't see this person getting their karma and then boom, it happens.
Yeah.
But if you push it along, then you're taking from your own karma. And then you should expect for something instantly to come back to you as well. And so it's just the way that it works.
Yeah.
It's like a dimension.
It's a balance.
Yeah. So law number 8 is the law of compensation.
Woo woo.
You reap what you sow.
Yeah, bitches.
So life is like a spiritual bank account, if you want to look at it like that. Every thought, every action, every moment deposits something into it. So what you give, you'll receive with interest. Mm-hmm. So that kind of ties into the last one that we were talking about too.
Yeah.
Going a little bit spiritually deeper into that. This law works in every area of your life, not just money, but in love and kindness and wisdom and effort. Mm-hmm. If you give everything you have freely from an abundant mindset, the universe will return abundance in ways that you can't even expect.
Right.
If you give from fear or manipulation, you'll receive more scarcity, like jealousy. I feel like that's the biggest one. When you see somebody and you don't admire them, you see somebody and you're like, oh, some people be like, I admire you for these things. And you tell that person, I admire you for your boldness. You start to become more bold.
Yes.
But if you're coming from a place of, man, I wish I could be like her or him or whatever, and you're coming from a place of jealousy, and you're like, well, I did all the things that they did, and I don't get that, and you're coming from that real place of anger and jealousy, you're not going to receive.
When I hear somebody say, oh, I'm jealous, I try to always say I'm inspired by.
Right.
Just switch those words out in your vocabulary and you're putting that out into the universe.
Yep.
I much rather hear somebody say I'm inspired by you instead of I'm jealous of you. Because when somebody says they're jealous of me, it's a negative thought. It's a low vibrational exchange. And just by saying I'm inspired by you, you're changing your mindset, you're putting out higher vibrations, and it's a better exchange.
Yep. You're putting that in your karmic bank.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you put out good energy. You might not have something good happen to you that day, or you might feel down on yourself, like I'm always nice to people and people aren't nice to me or something like that. But just remember, you're building karma. You're building karma for maybe yourself or future generations.
Right.
You never know when you're going to need to dip into that bank account and be like, hey, I need to pull some of that karma out.
Right. If you want to get into it, you're being a positive ripple. You don't know how many people you've affected positively just by being a great person.
Exactly. And on a quantum level, when you understand that everything you receive is a reflection of what you've given, you start shifting from a victim to being an empowered being.
Yes. For instance, say you're a business owner and you treat the employees poorly, and you're going to eventually struggle with high turnover. Meanwhile, another owner treats employees with respect and sees the business grow due to loyal, motivated team. And there's this saying where you can be a boss or a leader. So a boss is somebody that sits back and just barks orders, and they make everybody else do it. A leader goes out in front. People that draw people to follow them and to inspire them. It's that authenticity we were talking about, the other law, right? They attract.
And they lead to, they lead the energy as well. Like when you go to work and maybe everybody's low vibrational, but you come in with that high vibrational, you're funny, you got a smile, you're willing to help, like, let's go. You're inspiring other people to do that. And you're just doing that freely. You're not doing it because, oh, I got to whip these people into shape. You're just leading by example.
That's exactly what this is about.
Yeah. And then you can just start to ask yourself in your everyday life, where have you been giving with pure intention and pure high vibrational authentic energy, and where have you been holding back?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we hold back through fear. If I'm too upbeat, people aren't going to like me.
I mean, I have thought of that sometimes where I'm like, I'm too much.
Yep. And fuck that.
Yeah.
You're not too much.
Yeah. I will not cut myself into bite-sized pieces so you don't choke.
And if they don't like it, they're probably vibrating at a very low frequency and they're just annoyed by it because they can't be that.
Exactly. What's that saying? Your healed energy is going to irritate a lot of unhealed people.
Yes. And that is true. And so when you start feeling like people are looking at you like that, that's a win.
Yeah. You're a star.
Yes. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing of irritating people with your kindness. And just imagine every time you're kind, every time you send out those high vibrational frequencies, you're cashing in.
Yep.
Your karmic bank account is
hitting the jackpot.
Yeah. You're not in the red anymore. You're gaining wealth.
Yeah.
In a spiritual way.
Yes.
You could have $12 in your bank account, but if your karmic bank could be in the billions.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay no matter what. It's the fucking law of the universe.
Exactly.
So moving on, we're going to law number 9, and it's the law of relativity.
I've heard this one.
This is where you probably thought it was science.
I thought it was science, I swear.
And so everything is neutral until you compare it.
Yeah.
Imagine standing in a dark room with a single candle, and the flame is super, super bright until the sun rises, and then it seems small, but the light hasn't changed. So if you're imagining that, nothing in life has inherent meaning. So only the meaning that we assign to it, whatever meaning we give to it, that's the meaning it has.
Yeah.
So you might think that you're poor until you see someone with less.
Well, yeah. I went to hike with my teenagers this last summer, and it was up Mount Rainier in Washington. Beautiful mountain. And they had kind of bad attitudes about it. It had lakes up there, beautiful scenery. It was amazing. And I pulled them aside and I just said, look, I have 2 friends from Ukraine, and they were separated from their family and their father for a year from each other, and then for 2 years from their father. I was like, could you imagine us being separated from each other and not knowing if one of us is going to die the next day and all of that? I said, and here we are on a mountain together, watching this beautiful place, and we're together as a family. Look how lucky we are and how we should live in gratitude. I try to give them that perspective all the time, where we should live in gratitude.
And my parents used to be like, you're going to eat that. There's kids in other third world countries that are starving.
I know. I'm like, but I hate fish sticks. Can you give them to the starving kids?
No, we didn't get it.
Nope, we didn't get it. But yeah, live in gratitude, and comparison is the way you get there.
Yeah.
For sure.
And change your perspective on what your situation is, because you can always compare it and say, oh, I'm all the way down here. I'm 28 years old. I should own my own business by now, or I should have all my whole shit together, or whatever the case is. But if you compare it to somebody else, you can look at it in the way that you were just talking about. Comparatively to some other people, I'm living their dream right now. Where I am right now, there is somebody else out in this planet that's my exact same age that would do anything to be where I am right now. And just hold that energy.
I think a lot of people tend to look at celebs or online, where the online world is fake mostly, and compare themselves to that. And that's where they trip up on this.
Right.
You can't compare yourself to people living a fake reality and feel bad about yourself. That's not the goal.
I mean, unless you're using that to inspire yourself.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at it and it's making you feel worse about yourself, change your perspective.
Exactly.
And there's a saying that says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yes, I love that.
Also, on a different level, a different layer to this one is you might feel like your pain is unbearable until you realize it's shaping you into something greater. It's almost about embracing where you are in this current moment. And if it isn't resonating with you, let that fuel you into the next version of yourself.
Yes.
Let it transmute you. Let it burn away the version of yourself that doesn't like yourself.
Be the phoenix.
Exactly. You have to look at it as struggles are not punishments. You can look at them as opportunities to transcend limitations and gain spiritual strength, because that's what this life is about.
Yes.
When you think of the Hermetic tie-in, it's the principle of polarity. Opposites define each other. So you wouldn't understand warmth without cold, and you wouldn't recognize light without darkness. You wouldn't recognize happiness without the pain. You have to think about where you are in your life right now. And are you comparing or appreciating?
Yeah.
Just tapping into that. The energy itself is neutral. I like to play with energy balls, where I imagine there's a magnet in the center of each one of my palms and they're repelling each other. And I play with that. That's energy. It's just neutral. It's not doing anything. It's just energy is.
Yeah.
But until I put love into it or a physical thought pattern into it, then it becomes something else. So that's really what it's talking about. Energy is neutral until you compare it. This leads us into the next law, and it's number 10, the law of polarity. The light and dark are one and the same.
Yin and yang.
Imagine a coin, and on one side is happiness and the other side is pain, but it's the same coin. Every experience contains its opposite within it.
Right.
So fear contains the seed of courage. Pain contains the doorway to wisdom. Loss holds the frequency of transformation.
Yes.
When we stop resisting polarity and start embracing it, we unlock deeper spiritual powers within us. And it's amazing. It is part of alchemy.
Yeah.
And it's one of the universal laws.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's like how the universe was created.
Right. Think of day versus night.
Yes.
We wouldn't appreciate the night if we didn't have the day, and vice versa. I don't like winter times, but I appreciate it because without that, we wouldn't appreciate the warm weather that we have in the summertime.
And in the cosmic scheme of things, what winter does for our earth.
Yeah.
It's necessary.
Exactly.
It's so sacred. This law also teaches us to stop seeing things as good and bad. And this is very hard for people to raise above the frequency of good and bad. And you know, they say what's good for the spider is chaos for the fly.
Exactly.
You have to see everything as a teacher. Opposites are actually an illusion. It's a third dimensional way of thinking, good and bad.
Well, yeah, black and white.
Yeah, everything is part of the same spectrum, which is funny you said black and white. So you can take a struggle in your life and find the hidden blessing within it. With anything, there's always a hidden blessing, even in the most dark, energetic parts of your life.
For example, if you have a heartbreak, but through that pain, you learn self-love and resilience, without the sadness, you wouldn't appreciate the joy as deeply. You can look back on any kind of hardships you've had, and you can be like, well, if I didn't experience that, I wouldn't know how to have a healthy relationship now.
That's exactly correct. But some people, and I've heard this before, they'll be like, so are you saying that child abuse isn't bad?
Right.
Are you saying that war isn't bad, that murder isn't bad? I'm not saying that. Yes, I think that's insane. I think that's terrible. To me, that's me being the fly in the web, that I just think that's horrific.
Yeah.
And no, I don't agree with that. But the label of good and bad are human constructs.
Yeah.
The universe does not see good or bad. They see the polarity.
Yes.
So you cannot have peace and love on this earth without also having the darker, more demonic, evil type things that go on in this world. And as a human looking at it, I'm like, I wish I could just cure all that. I wish I could just get rid of all the bad things on this planet. And the only way for us to do that is to raise our vibration from the third dimension into the fourth and fifth dimension. That's the only way that we can heal this earth, is to become a new earth and raise our vibrational level as a whole consciousness to get there. But we have to go through the lower realms. It's like winter. We have to go through this harshness within the dynamics of this world that we live in to rise above that consciously.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there is interested in New Earth theory, that's, I think, what we're striving for. That's why there's so many people out there right now that are really into these kind of things, like the universal laws and things like that, to really help us understand the vastness of it.
Yeah.
And how it's not just one-sided, one thing or another. It's good or bad, or it's right or it's wrong, or it's hot or it's cold. You know what I mean? It's in its entirety.
Yeah.
To really see that from a different view.
Exactly.
And that's what I've been learning recently. And I think I talked about that in a tea time.
Yeah, about
Hecate.
Hecate.
I did. Yeah, with
You did.
Hecate, that I'm just learning, being able to see things from other perspectives besides my own. And it's humbling.
Yeah.
And I'm learning a lot. And I'm like, wow, I was a bitch.
I mean, I tend,
because now I'm looking back and I'm like, oh, those are some hurtful things that I thought about other people, or when I would shame people. And in my mind, I wasn't really shaming them. I was just pointing out that that wasn't
a cute sweater
or something like that. And then I'm judging, and then I'm putting those ripples out into the universe.
It's easy to look back and see those things, but as long as you're learning, you're winning.
Yeah. We're on 11.
Oh, the law of rhythm.
We're on 11. The law of rhythm. How the universe moves in cycles. So I always refer to water. So picture the ocean, and the waves rise and they fall, but the tide always returns to shore. Life is like that. The seasons change, emotions fluctuate, and situations shift, and nothing ever stays the same forever. And sometimes we do that too, right? We're like, oh, can we just hold this moment forever? Because we have moments where we just feel so loved and so at peace and just so safe.
Yeah.
And we just want to hold on to that moment forever. Or like our babies, we want to hold on.
I was thinking of a newborn baby.
Yeah, a newborn baby. You're like, oh, I just want, or a puppy or a kitty. Or it's like, well, just stay this little forever. But nothing stays the same.
Yeah. You can't get stuck in that nostalgia.
Yeah. And most people resist the lows instead of flowing with them. And we talked a little bit about this.
Yeah, we have. And seeing the waves, we've talked about that consistently in our spiritual talks about being in a low part of the wave and the high part of the wave with life.
And if you're in a low period in your life, and people get stuck in that, and that's where depression and different very low vibrational things can happen, even thinking about not being here anymore.
Yeah.
So when you're in a really low cycle, you have to trust that it's going to rise again. You have to pay attention to everything in your life. It's like you've been at the bottom before and you thought that it was going to turn out horribly. And then you found a way to get swept back up. And then you're like, oh my God, my life is amazing.
Yeah.
And then if you're in a high period, that's when you have to practice gratitude and awareness so you can navigate when the cycle shifts down again. It's about finding that Zen place. And you really can't do it when you're low vibrational.
No.
You have to wait until that high tide comes up. But when we're high and we're vibing, it's really difficult to remind ourselves to focus on that.
Right. When you're low, though, I think the key is releasing and letting yourself be swept back up by the wave. Releasing.
Let go. And then you'll have almost like that karma built up in the bank. You're just trusting it. You're guiding it. You're like, this is amazing. And then when you're low, you can tap back into that energy that you had before. So you're not getting swept up and then thrown back down and then just letting life whip you around. Then you have more control of it. You know, those little things you used to play on when you were little and they're like a circle and you can spin really fast.
Oh, yeah.
And if you hold on to the outside, you just either hold on for dear life and hope that you make it, or you get thrown into the other side of the playground.
Playgrounds are wild, man.
So that's when you're holding on to the outside and you're just letting life spiral you around and do whatever it wants. So what you have to do is you have to find that center, that peace, go into the middle and hold on. And that's your center of gravity. And then no matter how fast it's spinning or what direction it's spinning in, up, down, side to side, whatever, in the cosmic scheme of things, you have found the eye of the storm. You found your center where you're okay no matter what.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Very much like building your self-esteem and your confidence and giving yourself a life that nobody can knock you off of.
Yeah.
So the key is finding your peace, basically. Learning to ride the waves and not fight them. I've had times when even my phone, I have to turn my phone off because if anybody calls me, it's going to freak me out. I can't even have anybody around me.
Right.
I can't even open my doorknob to go out the door. It was. I would get anxiety so bad where I couldn't even step outside. And sometimes that would last for weeks. Now, occasionally, I still feel that way, but it's maybe an hour.
Yeah.
And I get through it because I have emotional energy and all of that in my bank.
Yeah.
And I know how to deal with it now, and I know how to process. And I know that I'm going to be okay.
Right.
And I know that things are going to get better.
You go with the flow.
Yeah. And also be like, when I am down, what is this teaching me?
Right.
So then I can almost kind of get excited about it and be like, yeah, this lesson sucks. I'm over here crying. It doesn't feel
You're
good.
releasing.
Yeah. But I'm also looking at it like, oh shit, what is this going to teach me?
Right.
This is teaching me to let go of something. This is unlocking something for me. This is my higher self saying, I know this is going to hurt, but you got to get through this.
And then you heal that forever.
Yes. And before I would just lay in my room for 2 weeks and not move.
Yeah.
You know, just watch TV and cry and fetal position, just like anxiety and like.
And your spirit guides are like,
nobody
swim,
call me.
bitch. Swim.
I'm like, I can't.
Take
I'm just over here
action.
just drowning. I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny.
It's not funny.
But it took me so long to learn that, oh, I have to see this from a different perspective.
Yes.
And I have to realize that this isn't happening to me, it's happening for me.
Yes.
And it was so hard for me to get that through my head.
Yeah.
I was just like, no, that can't be.
Right.
This can't be happening to me to teach me a lesson. This is really fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would you teach me a lesson like
I
this?
don't want to learn anymore.
No, I'm done. Like, I want to go back home.
Yeah.
Like, it's too much. And now I've learned the cycles and I've been through life for a really long time. A really long time. I'm old, y'all. So anybody who's feeling really low and gets stuck in that place, you can change. You can heal yourself and you can see things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah. There's a light at the end of that tunnel.
And whenever you're low, just remember this is temporary.
Yes.
It's going to get better. And it does, because you can't stay in that low vibration. You just can't. It's not the law.
Yeah.
The universe didn't design it this way.
Yeah.
So you just have to trust in the universe and trust that this law is here for a reason and stop resisting it And you'll see it'll pick back up. Things will get better. A new opportunity will come along. Something will happen that pulls you back up and sweeps you back up into the currency of life.
Yes.
So the final law is number 12. It's the law of gender. And I look at it as the divine masculine and feminine within yourself. Every human has both the sun and the moon inside of them. The sun represents action and drive and structure, and that's all masculine energy. And the moon represents intuition, flow, and being receptive. That's the feminine energy. Imagine a cosmic dance, and there's these two eternal forces moving in harmony. And the masculine energy is leading. It's leading with precision and structure. And the feminine energy is flowing with grace and intuition. And together they're creating something that neither one of them could achieve alone. Mm-hmm. They're creating this balance and creation and divine manifestation. The universe itself was birthed through the union of these two energies. Mm-hmm. Every star, every planet, every soul born from the fusion of the active and receptive. Right. So we all carry both of these energies inside of us. It's not about gender. It's about the forces of creation inside of you.
Yes.
So the masculine energy is the yang.
Yep.
That's what people call it. It's the fire that takes action. It builds, protects, and it moves forward with power. And it's the part of you that speaks your truth, sets goals, and moves towards expansion. And then the feminine energy is the yin.
Yeah.
And it's like a deep well of wisdom and intuition and surrender and trust. And it's the part of you that receives divine guidance too. So it flows with the unknown and allows things to unfold with divine timing. The union of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. When these energies are unbalanced, we experience chaos.
Yes.
Too much masculine energy can make us aggressive, or over-controlling, or disconnected from our emotions. And then too much feminine energy can make us passive and afraid and indecisive or lost in the dream without taking any action. That's me.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking about that earlier. I'll be like, oh, I've got all this intuitive information, then I don't act on it at all. My masculine's over there like lazy as fuck. I need to really work on my masculine energy. Yeah, but I've had times where I've really felt the connection, the divine union of divine masculine and feminine inside of me. And that's when I make amazing choices in my life.
Yeah.
And I manifest things that I never thought I could manifest before. It's almost like working out. You have to maintain both of those to stay in balance.
Yeah.
And I'm a human just like anybody else, and I do fall sometimes. And I really am more tapped into my intuition and my spiritual gifts and stuff like that, more so than taking action a lot of times.
Yeah.
So sometimes my masculine energy does get lazy.
I think I'm the reverse. I think my masculine energy is there because I was made to be in survival mode for so long. And although I'm nurturing and all that, but I will protect my emotions. I will detach so easy when it has to do with me.
But it's everybody is situational. Like the situation that you're in right now, you do need to, your masculine energy is stepping forward because there's a reason for that.
Right.
And I had to live in my masculine energy for a really long time. And now I'm kind of in a place where I can be more just relaxed and more in my feminine energy because I feel safe now.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel safe then for a number of different reasons. I had to be the protector and I had to take all that action and do all that stuff. And now I'm in a place, thankfully, it could change. But I'm in a space now where I feel like I can let that flow.
Right.
Now I have to remind myself to focus not just on the feminine, but also the masculine within me to really start taking action with certain things.
Right.
So it's a reminder to me to have both of those in balance, like yin and yang.
Yeah, same.
There's other like mystical traditions, and they talk of the sacred marriage. So it's not between two people, but it's between the masculine and feminine inside of ourselves. And so in alchemy, this is known as a union of the sun and the moon creating a divine transformation of life.
I love that.
Yeah. When you begin to master this law, you step into divine balance and you become the living embodiment of creation itself. You don't need anything external to get you where you want to go.
Right.
It's all internal. And that brings us back to the very first law, which is all is mental.
Yes.
True manifestation is the result of all of these forces working together.
In harmony.
And it's masculine energy sets the intention, builds the structure, and takes action. And then the feminine energy allows trust and magnetizes the energy towards you. So if you only take action without trusting the flow, you burn out.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you only wait for things to happen, you stay stuck where you are. In the esoteric knowledge, people talk about gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. And so mastering this law is not just about understanding balance. It's about embodying it and becoming a vessel of creation itself, harmony and the divine flow.
So a good example of somebody having both in one embodiment would be a business leader, for instance, balancing assertiveness, which is masculine energy, with compassion, which is feminine energy, and creating a successful and harmonious work environment. So everybody has both in each. And when you balance it, you become that magnetic person that we were talking about in one of the other laws that lets things roll off their back, but become that leader in life for other people to make that positive ripple. When you are balancing things within you, you reflect it outside of you.
Yeah. I remember when I was a single mom and I was really in my masculine energy. They had to be at games and I had to work and I had to help them with homework. And it was just, every day was just go, 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 go. It was action on fire.
Yeah.
Every single day. And I look back on those times and I'm like, I was so in my masculine energy. You know, I would see people online, oh, I'm making these cute little cupcake cookies and you have to find cuddle time and all this stuff. And I was just like so detached from my feminine energy that I didn't allow myself even these breaks and moments to really be in my feminine and to just nurture and play and stuff like that. So I look back on those times and I was like, I wish I would have known more about the divine flow and the masculine and feminine inside of me, because I think I would have taken, and I did, I loved all my kids and I'm a very touchy-feely person. It's not like they didn't get that, but I feel like I could have been more balanced with that. If I would have known about these laws back then and not just been in survival mode while I was trying to do it.
When you're in that state of mind too, you don't hear when you get told that you're beautiful. You don't feel it because you don't feel the divine feminine within you. You just feel the masculine. So you don't feel beautiful. You don't want to dress up. And when you do, you don't feel like that goddess. And that should be a sign that you're imbalanced.
And then when it comes to masculine men in general too, like this is coming from a woman's standpoint, but I feel like men too, they're taught not to tap into that feminine part of themselves.
Not to feel their emotions.
Yeah. Then they get into a relationship, right? With a woman or male, doesn't matter. They get into a relationship with somebody and they're like, you need to talk to me and open up to me about your emotions. But also be a man and don't have any.
Yeah, exactly.
And so once you find that and you master that within yourself, then you will be whole. And once you're whole, then your partner, if you're in a relationship, can mirror that. You can mirror that back to them and help them become whole as well, because you're more open and understanding. And if you're single, you can take that awareness and use that to magnetically pull in the types of relationships that you're looking for that mirror where you are on your journey right now. Yeah, it all starts with you.
Yep.
And that's a tough pill to swallow. When I was like that, I used to be like, oh, well, you know, everything else around me is making me like this.
It's easy to do that.
Very easy to do that. And I did it. But now I'm seeing things over the years from a different perspective. And if things are unbalanced, I'm like, where am I unbalanced? And that's what this whole thing just really puts things in perspective. Just the way you're looking at things and seeing them from a different perspective changes everything.
Yeah.
And learning these laws, this is the laws of the universe.
Yeah.
And you have free will. You can go against it as long as you want to, but
who wants to live in that low vibration? Not me.
Yeah. But if you want to change, you have to really learn what environment you're in because you are in this universe and we are all one consciousness. And if you want to see the world change, you have to start with yourself.
Yes. Be the change.
So basically, you are the universe in motion. Imagine yourself as a cosmic creator, and you're weaving your own reality through all of these laws. And the sacred truth is that these laws are not outside of you. They are you. You are the universe.
Yes.
You're not separate from the divine order of things. You're woven into it. Every time you align with these laws, you're painting on the canvas of existence. And every thought, action, and energy that you send out creates the masterpiece that is your life. You're painting your own life as you go.
Yeah.
I just want to let everybody who's listening know that you're not lost. You're not broken. You are a creator. You are a living, breathing spark of the divine. And everything you need is inside of you already. Align with these sacred truths, and I promise you, your life will transform beyond what you ever thought possible. You were never meant to struggle. You were meant to flow. And you were never meant to chase. You were meant to receive and attract. And you were never meant to exist in fear. That's not your purpose here. You are here to embody love. And the universe has been waiting for you to remember who you are. And now the time has come. It is right now.
Yeah.
No matter where you are in your existence, no matter where you are in your life, you can tap into the universe and you can become what you were truly put on this planet for. You can embody that.
Absolutely.
I hope this episode leaves you feeling activated and empowered and spiritually awakened.
And inspired.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's everything for this episode. Make sure you subscribe and tune into the next Lionsgate episode on the 8th of every month. And as always, remember to keep your minds open.
Namaste.